ideology, compare and contrast with dog culture. So gender ideology, what does it say? It says gender is just a construct of society, and then they apply that to the male and female children that are born, and they say, well, let's let the children decide. Let's let them decide, you know, like, which is screwy too, because they actually don't let them decide. Society forces them to be something based on small elements from that kid's life. So that's what the gender ideology says. And what's another big ideology is dog culture. Now, gender ideology, that is talked about a lot, all over YouTube and the news, the transgender movement, all the flags, the banners, the LGBTQIA plus flags and stuff like that. It's a big discussion. You know, there's people on both sides making great points and everything. But dog culture, the discussion is even more subdued. So how is it that dog culture, I thought dogs were like this perfect, beautiful thing that brought love and happiness to everyone. How comes that conversation is even more subdued than the transgender culture? That's kind of weird. But the gender culture says you gotta let the kids decide. Don't force them to be what these dang parents want them to be. These parents are saying, my kid was born with a penis and testicles, so he's going to be a man. My daughter was born without penis and testicles, so that's going to be a woman. I'm going to raise her as a woman. They're saying those parents can't do that? Well, then if that ideology is so correct, how come dog culture, which is supposed to be so beautiful as they say, how come they don't apply that? If you're a parent and you own several dogs and you get pregnant, that baby inside of you, it hears your dogs barking. The vibration of those dogs barking, that baby in your stomach, it hears that. When you go in your house and you smell dog shit, when you're raking up dog shit out in your yard and that dog shit particles are getting up in there, when you're in your kitchen making a sandwich or handing out some treats to other people and that dog is jumping all over you and bagging, and that's triggering your hormones and stuff, that's going into your child and is creating this framework and matrix, preloading them up as a dog lover. Did you ask them if they want dogs? No, you didn't. You're sitting there breathing all that pet dander, listening to all that barking, going out of your way to be deceptive. A lot of dog owners will do stuff like allow more dogs in their house than they wanted because their uncle is staying there, their uncle has a dog, or their daughter wants 2 chihuahuas but got 3 and then they tolerated it anyways. There's a lot of stuff like that where they get more and more dogs in their house and they have to be like, well, I didn't want this many dogs, but so-and-so wanted some dogs. So all those mental gymnastics you're doing as a dog owner, all that sniffing pet dander, swallowing down the dog saliva that's going into your kid, the vibrations of the dogs barking, your kid is hearing that dog barking and it's feeling that cortisol. When you hear a dog bark, it's an alert. Whether or not you're used to it or not, it's freaking alert, and it's boom, your cortisol is going up, and that's going into the body of your baby, and you're already getting your baby in the habit to be a goofy dog owner, not to be like a dog owner that, you know, at 5 years old you get him a lab, and then the lab lives 10 years, and the lab gets to pass away peacefully, and the kid learns a lesson, and then now that he's mature, he can go be with a woman or whatever. No, instead, you're this baby that's inside of you while you're living this, excuse me, but dog nutter life. You're preloading that baby just to be a goofy dog nutter that just wants to have that stress and that cortisol in them the whole time. So if dog culture is this loving and beautiful and love is love kind of thing, the same way that gender ideology says it is, how come the dog culture way of treating a child is to forcibly make them a dog lover when their first cells get together? You know, dog lovers constantly have dogs in the bed. When the man and the woman are making love, there's pet dander getting shoved into those body orifices. Hair, you know, the man and the woman are kissing, there's pet dander in there. That's all going into your body and your physiology and your gut hormones. They can tell what kind of dogs you own by looking at your gut microbiome. So your body is constantly digesting those small little proteins from that pet dander, and that's going into your unborn child, pre-making it ready to be a freaking dog owner. Did you ask them? No. So now with the gender ideology, they say we're supposed to ask the kids what gender they are and go against their nature. So you can see gender ideology and dog culture, they both pretend like they're all about love and taking care of the kid, yet they both apply different logics expecting the same result. So which one is bullshit? Are both of them bullshit? Seems to me like both of them are bullshit. You should, if the kid's born a man, you should get ready to raise a man, raise up a man in this world. If a kid's born female, you should say, okay, it's time to raise this daughter and raise up a healthy woman. That's what you should do. And if you want dogs in your life, you should wait until your kid gets to read some books, and not just all these books full of dog culture. Read some books about the cost of a dog. Excuse me, my young daughter. Excuse me, my young son. You noticed I have a dog over here. Do you think you want a dog, or would you rather mom and dad got you a mountain bike or a travel trailer or a really good computer to write resumes with? Let them make those type of decisions when they have an informed decision to make, instead of just pushing dogs on them and setting them up to be 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 and just having a bunch of dogs and few human friends and being like, well, I just always had dogs. You know, well, yeah, you had dogs since the second that you were conceived, because when your mom and dad had sex in bed, you know, they were probably both listening to the barking dog outside the door. Jealous because mom and dad were getting it on because the dog wants to lay in the bed and get stroked. So yeah, it's interesting to compare these two ideologies in society, because one says one thing is true and one says the other thing is true, and both ideologies present themselves as trying to uplift children, but I think further examination is required in this case.